What's that? This or something.
There it is.
You have to
You have
do.
to grab both sides.
Both sides.
Both sides, not that, the other one. The one behind it.
Yeah, I'm okay.
There's like a lever right there. No, right.
Yeah, to hold both.
Yeah, you have to grab both of them. Yeah.
The other side, that's all. You got those.
Okay, good evening. We're going to call the council meeting on Monday, December 9th to order. We're going to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and observe a moment of silence. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Mr. Sabosley, if you do roll call, please.
Thank you. Councilman Dern?
Here.
Councilman Majernik? Here. Councilman Purcell?
Here.
Councilwoman Rossler? Here. Councilman Schlock?
Here.
Councilman Seitz?
Here.
Councilman Taylor? Here. Mayor Schlegel? Here. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to start it off with a motion to approve the treasurer's report for the month of November.
So moved.
I have a motion on the floor by Mr. Majernik. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Schlock. All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Motion to approve the expenses for the month of November.
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion forwarded by Mr. Taylor. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Mr. Purcell. All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Motion to approve the minutes of the November 13th, 2024 council meeting.
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion on the floor presented by Mr. Taylor. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Mr. Seitz. All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Moves us to recognition of achievements in the community. Mr. Mayor.
Well, I know there were some achievements this month, but nobody sent me anything. So I have nothing to report.
Oh, dear goodness. Okay. Wow. Okay, recognition of achievements in the community, that's that. So we move to civic announcements. Anybody in the audience have any civic announcements?
Hi, everyone. Pam Calfo from the Plum Library. One thing I wanted to let everyone here know, and also the public watching, is that you, with your library card, you can download free ebooks and audiobooks. So if you have a long commute, you want to listen to books in your car, or if you just want to read books on your tablet or iPad, as opposed to paying for them, you can get them free through the library. So it's one of our very popular services, but we're always trying to get the word out there more about it. We have a lot of usage with it, but it's something we still tell people every day that they didn't know about. So, and we can help you get set up on your device. So I hope you all have a happy holiday and Happy New Year. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. Karen Hochberg from the Plum Community Center. I want to thank you. We had a great year at the center. I'd love to invite you to our Cookies with Santa. We're doing this with the Rotary, and the library is helping us promote it. It's this Thursday. I'll give you all a flyer. And I just want to wish the community and you all a happy holiday, and to also invite you tomorrow, if you can come. We're having our volunteer lunch for our Meals on Wheels drivers. And we really appreciate everything that they do for us and all of our volunteers. So thanks for what you do. Happy holidays, and come to Cookies with Santa this Thursday at 5:30 to 7. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other civic announcements? Okay, President's comments, I have none. Moves us to citizen comments on agenda items. Anyone wish to speak on anything that's on the agenda? Okay, we'll move right into council motions. Mr. Majernik, on behalf of the Planning and Economic Development Committee, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of the Planning and Economic Development Committee, I move to adopt a Resolution 1012-24, granting preliminary final approval to the Wannaget Simple Subdivision, FSC-05-24, Lot and Block 735-N-366, contingent upon the applicant complying with the comments from the Borough Engineers Review Letter dated November 5th, 2024, as recommended by the Planning Commission.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor presented by Mr. Majernik. Do I have a second? Second. I have a second by Mr. Schlock. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
On behalf of the Planning and Economic Development Committee, I move to adopt Resolution 1013-24, granting preliminary final approval to the SRK Real Properties Lot Line Revision, FSC-06-24, Lot and Blocks 123-J-342 and 1233-M-346, contingent upon the applicant complying with any comments issued by the Allegheny County Department of Economic Development, as recommended by the Planning Commission.
I have a motion on the floor presented by Mr. Majernik. Do I have a second? I'll second that. I have a second by Mr. Taylor. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. That's it, Mr. Majernik?
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Seitz, Personnel Management.
Thank you, Mr. Dern. On behalf of the Personnel and Management Committee, I move to approve the 2025 council meeting schedule as presented by staff.
I have a motion on the floor presented by Mr. Seitz. Do I have a second? Second. Second by Mr. Purcell. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
On behalf of the Personnel and Management Committee, I move to make an offer of employment to Cynthia Russo as an on-call backup school crossing guard at the rate established in the collective bargaining agreement.
I have a motion on the floor presented by Mr. Seitz. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Mr. Majernik. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
On behalf of the Personnel and Management Committee, I move to table a lease for 2025 with the Allegheny Foothills Historical Society at the Plum Boro Community Library.
I have a motion on the floor presented by Mr. Seitz. Do I have a second? I have a second by Ms. Rossler. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries.
And finally, on behalf of the Personnel and Management Committee, I move to approve a professional services agreement with Daily Operational Consulting as outlined in the proposal dated 10/21/24.
Motion on the floor presented by Mr. Seitz. Do I have a second? Second. I have a second by Mr. Purcell. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Seitz. We move on to Ms. Rossler on behalf of the Public Safety Committee.
Thank you. I move to table this agreement with the Plum Fire Chiefs Association to operate a stipend program in 2025.
I have a motion on the floor presented by Ms. Rossler. Do I have a second? I have a second by Mr. Taylor. Any discussion?
I just want to say this is a trial program offering a limited stipend to ensure coverage during daylight hours. All four chiefs asked us to table this motion.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Rossler. Mr. Taylor, on behalf of Parks and Recreation, I don't think you have anything tonight? Okay. Mr. Schlock, Finance Committee, please.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. President. On behalf of the Finance Committee, I move to approve Resolution 1014-24, authorizing a tax anticipation note for $1.5 million with Dollar Bank.
Motion on the floor presented by Mr. Schlock. Any seconds?
Second.
Second by Mr. Majernik. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
On behalf of the Finance Committee, I move to approve Resolution 1015-24, reestablishing the 2025 real estate tax millage rate at 6.63 and noting no change to the earned income tax rate and the local service tax rate.
I have a motion presented by Mr. Schlock. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
I have a second by Mr. Taylor. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
On behalf of the Finance Committee, I move to approve Resolution 1016-24, adopting the 2025 budget.
Motion on the floor presented by Mr. Schlock. Do I have a second? Second. I have a second from Mr. Seitz. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
On behalf of the Finance Committee, I move to approve Resolution 1017-24, certifying the Act 172 Volunteer Firefighter Earned Income Tax Forgiveness List for 2024.
Motion on the floor presented by Mr. Schlock. Do I have a second? Second. I have a second by Mr. Purcell. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
On behalf of the Finance Committee, I move to accept the 2024 real estate tax payment for 92 Green Meadow Court as timely and to be paid at face amount.
Motion on the floor presented by Mr. Schlock. Do I have a second? Second. I have a second by Mr. Majernik. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
That's all I have for finance.
Thank you, Mr. Schlock. Mr. Purcell, behalf of Roads, Equipment, and Grants.
Thank you, Mr. Dern. Thank you, Mr. Dern. On behalf of Roads, Equipment, and Grounds Committee, I move to approve a 3-year agreement with Bureau Veritas for elevator inspection services.
I have a motion on the floor presented by Mr. Purcell. Do I have a second? Second. I have a second from Mr. Seitz. Do I have any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries. And that is it for council actions. We move to the mayor's report.
Thank you, Mr. President. During the month of November, our police officers responded to 938 calls. That's roughly a 7% decrease from the previous month. And this is one I always love to do. Thoughtful citizens. On Sunday, November 3rd, the Unity Community Church provided a breakfast and church service recognizing first responders. The breakfast included an omelet, waffle, as well as a la carte breakfast items, coffee and juice. Special thanks to Reverend Dr. Steve Aguzzi for providing such a thoughtful and appreciated service. On November 7th, residents Pat and Stan Kazmarski had brought in a large basket of apples for our officers in appreciation. And this is not the first time that Kazmarskis have done this. They've been doing it for years. Cookies, cakes, now fruit. It's healthier. On November 28th, Chief Jim Sims, Assistant Chief Greg Fusco, and the rest of the Holiday Park Volunteer Fire Department invited our police department for a first responders breakfast on Thanksgiving morning. The holiday event was for all local police, fire, and EMS personnel. On the 28th, Thanksgiving Day, again, Borough resident David Johnson of the D. Johnson Erie Insurance Company has provided Thanksgiving dinner for our police officers. He's done this for 14 years. He brings in a full turkey dinner, all the sides, plus dessert. He's been, as I said, he and his wife have been doing that for 14 years. So Dave, again, once, thank you.
Did it for EMS too,
Did he do it for EMS?
every year.
Again, these are the kind of citizens, and when I say there's had to be accomplishments in this community, I just didn't get any. Because things like this is what makes this community great. And our police really appreciate that, particularly those who came from the city of Pittsburgh. And that's all I have, sir.
Thank you. Okay, committee reports. There's nothing to report on the Intergovernmental Cooperative Committee, so we'll move to Mr. Seitz with the Personnel Committee.
Thanks, Mr. Dern. Staff is conducting interviews throughout the month to fill the position of the IT support specialist. 35 applications have been received since the position was posted on November 14th. Staff also completed the application and interview process for the position of backup crossing guard, and council approved a hiring early tonight. And staff was also involved in several education events concerning the borough's upcoming changes to the borough's solid waste billing process and recycling issues. That's my report.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Schlock, Finance Committee.
Thanks, Mr. President. General fund highlights for the month of November 2024. The borough recognized revenues totaling $1,379,806 and incurred expenditures in the amount of $1,195,567. Revenues. Current year real estate taxes are presently at 96% of the budget, and we have received approximately $6.2 million through the month of November. To date, we have received $4.31 million in current year's earned income tax revenues, and this represents 98% of the adopted budget. The cable TV franchise revenue line received fourth quarter payments from Verizon and Comcast. A total of $133,026 was booked, and we will end the year approximately $36,000 under budget. The regional asset district funding is projected to finish the year below budget by approximately $47,000. Overall, the borough has recorded $16.55 million in revenues, and we are trending to end the year slightly over budget. Expenditures. Through the month of November, the borough has expended 82% of the budget, or $13.2 million. Due to staffing vacancies, a mild winter, and electricity usage being reduced, the borough will experience expenditure savings for the 2024 budget year. The borough will soon be notified by our independent auditor when the 2024 interim audit field work will begin. All field work is normally completed by mid-February. That's all I have.
And we did not utilize the TAN loan at all this year, correct?
No.
Good job. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Purcell, Roads, Equipment, Grounds Committee.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dern. Roads, Equipment, and Grounds, the borough was awarded a 2024 Act 902 Development and Implementation of Municipal Recycling Programs grant from the Department of Environmental Protection. The borough applied for this grant to purchase an additional leaf vacuum, which was needed to be able to collect a large volume of leaves during our leaf collection season. The award grant amount of $116,820 will be applied to the payment of the new leaf vacuum that was purchased this summer. Leanne Court, New Texas Road, and the L. Francie Building all had their retention ponds cut and cleaned. I should say cleaned out, cut and cleaned out. There are various street signs that were damaged or that had poor reflectivity continue to be replaced. Any unnecessary street signs have been removed. If anyone comes across a sign that you can't read or has poor reflectivity, please notify the borough. The demolition of the old building, or I'm sorry, the old borough building complex has been completed. That is all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Purcell. Ms. Rossler, Public Safety, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Tonight, I have a recognition. I have a stormwater report, but first I'd like to invite Brian Maloney with EMS up.
No uniform tonight?
Not tonight. You got to deal with me in my Christmas shirt here, but I do appreciate it. I'm doing by my phone here, so we're going to have to see if I can figure this out here. But Brian Maloney, Director of Operations, Plum EMS. I always appreciate the opportunity to be up here kind of sharing some of the Plum EMS news here. For the month of November, we ended up running 250 responses, ended up transporting 148 of those patients to the hospital. We ended up responding to mutual aid or neighboring communities 8 times. 7 of those resulted in a transport. And we needed mutual aid back into Plum to help us out 13 times throughout the month. The nice thing is throughout the entire month of November, we handled 94.8% of the EMS calls in this community. I will never be able to give the crews enough credit for what they do and how quick they try to get from the hospitals back into the community. Along with pretty much running emergency calls throughout the month, we ended up doing 2 free car seat safety checks. We gave away 1 free car crib and 1 free car seat to a family in need. We ended up doing 4 separate CPR classes for over 60 people And so we were extremely busy with that, but that's always a good experience to have while we're doing there. We had an incredible time at the Christmas at Plum Creek, even as cold as it was, even though I kept hiding in the car and everything. But we ended up taking close to 100 family portraits in our garage, so that worked out incredibly well. We were also very fortunate on Thanksgiving, for the holiday park breakfast, and also Dave Johnson, who that generosity is just unbelievable. We greatly appreciate it. And then one of the last things I'm very proud of is that we work very closely with Cribs for Kids to try to help prevent sudden infant deaths and teach a lot of the education that helps prevent that, or hopefully. And so because of the stuff that we've accomplished, we were recipients of 13 free cribs that is meant to be able to go out to the community or families in need. And I was just notified the other day, and I don't know what I'm going to do with 13 cribs, so I called Lanny. I'm like, hey, I need a place to put this stuff. So they're going to be actually stationed down with the storage area in the police department. But it's incredible. It's not just a crib. They have like a fitted sheet. They got a onesie. They have some education material to help teach parents on the proper way to have their infants sleep. So we're very fortunate and blessed to have the relationships that we do to try to continue to help in the community. So other than that, questions, comments, a little story to make me smile?
I just have a question. How do they tell you to have children sleep nowadays? On the back side?
On the back.
On the back?
ABCs. They need to be alone in their crib, no dolls, no blankets, no bumpers, on their back and in a crib. So ABC. Because those are the kind of calls you'll never forget, having to respond to something like that. So I'm always more than happy to try to be more proactive rather than reactive.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thanks, Brian.
Chief Steve Marsh, would you like to come up? Do you have a report?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a small report, maybe not quite as detailed as Mr. Maloney's previous. Just want to give council a kind of update on our 2024 run totals. This will vary. Obviously, we're not at the end of the year. At Logan's Ferry Heights Fire Department, we're looking at probably finishing the year out just short of 300 calls for the year. This is running about a 15% increase from last year. Every year, we typically see about 15 to 20% increase year to year. We haven't seen a down year in a long, long time. So this is trending the way that I would anticipate. The breakdown on calls for 2024 were 20% were we responded to actual what we consider working fires. That's not just in our community in Plum, that is outside mutual aid, us giving aid to other communities. 26% of we consider rescue calls, and the other category of 55%. So I just want to get out to the community. We just don't run the fire calls. We're kind of across the board with a lot of different agencies, EMS and everything. So appreciate the opportunity to talk with the workshop session about the stipend program. Looking forward to that going forward. The one thing I would like to point out, when I was running these reports, I want to note the credit should not go to myself. This credit goes to my members. I have 30 members on the books that are actual certified, can get on the truck, out the door, responding. And I just want to make a point that I have 9 members that are exceeding 40% of the call volume. So they're going to be close to 50%. And that's just a kudos to them, because that's them leaving their families whenever that bell goes off. That's the highest we've ever been in our company's history. So it's growing strong, and hopefully that number continues to increase. I'm just a single cog in the wheel, but the department runs because of everyone, not just the leaders. So looking forward to another end of this year, another strong year next year. So.
Okay, if you could stay there, because tonight you're being recognized by Plum Council, because this is your last couple days as Chief of Logan's Ferry Fire Department. I want to thank you for all you have done for the Plum community since 2013. I want to thank you for fast-tracking my learning curve and always being there to answer all of my questions. I would say your greatest attribute is that you're not afraid to speak up, and in turn, you find solutions. So I thank you and best wishes on your future endeavors.
Thank you.
This is for you. Okay, the stormwater water report. Okay. O-Block Pond, the project has obtained all required approvals, including the NPDES and joint permit, and is now ready to be put out to bid and constructed. The borough has also submitted a grant application to the state to help fund the project. I spoke with Mr. Sabozley, and he said we should hear back soon about this grant. Abers Creek Culvert, substantial completion was reached during this past month. This project replaced the existing failing culvert with a new 60-inch diameter plastic pipe to prevent flooding issues in the area. Center Beach, the NPDES application was submitted to the Allegheny County Conservative District on June 11th, 2024. The ACCD provided feedback on the application, to which KU Resources promptly responded. The NPDES application is now in its final review stage. KU Resources and the Borough of Plum have held several meetings with dam safety regarding a potential dam permit submission. Once the NPDES application and the possible dam permit are approved, the project will be ready for construction. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Ms. Rossler.
Thank you.
Excuse me. Mr. Majernik, Planning, Economic Development.
Thank you, Mr. Dern. The Planning and Economic Development Report. There were 66 permits issued and $9,196 in revenue. The code enforcement completed 74 residential and apartment occupancy inspections. Code enforcement addressed and inspected 31 violations, complaints, and borough connects for junk and debris, abandoned vehicles, vacant structures, rodents, occupancy violation, illegal dumping. The zoning hearing board met in November regarding 3 variance requests. That's my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Majernik. Mr. Taylor, Parks and Rec.
Thank you, Mr. President. All restrooms at the PBSA concession stand area and Plum Creek Playground area were winterized and closed for the winter. The water at Larry Mills Park was turned off at the concession stand along with the restrooms. Both areas have been winterized. The restrooms at Renton Park were winterized and closed for the winter also. Borough Haps upcoming events include Cine Brunch Saturday, December 14th. We will be showing The Grinch. Guests will enjoy a donut and a drink during the feature film. The cost of the event is $3 a person. Visit our website to register. Pop It and Drop It pull tab collection program for the Ronald McDonald House continues until the end of the year. We will have final totals next month. I also want to mention that last Thursday was our tree lighting night. The attendance was fantastic. Everybody appeared to be having a wonderful time. I also want to throw a kudos to Mr. Hadeen. Every year, I don't know for how many, it seems like since I've been doing this, he's been coming up here and putting his train display up, and just a fantastic volunteer thing that he does for us, and I just want to say thanks a lot. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. We come to citizens' comments on non-agenda items. Does anybody wish to address council with any particular thing? No? Okay. That brings us to adjournment. I need a motion to adjourn.
Make that motion.
I have a motion on the floor from Mr. Taylor. Do I have a second? Second. I have a second by Mr. Purcell. All those in favor? Aye. We are adjourned.